Yep, yep. So welcome to World University and School's monthly business meeting on December 17th, 2022, Saturday at 12 noon Eastern Time. And as we wait to see if people will join us, Larry Wieland is on the phone, and I'm Scott McLeod, and we are going to explore the agenda for this third Saturday's open monthly business meeting. Larry, thank you so much for the ongoing acting treasurer's reports. And I'm going to put you on speakerphone. Great. So agenda item number one is that we have an amazing new accreditation process underway with the Postgraduate Institute of Medicine in Colorado. And World University and School had a 30-minute meeting with them on Thursday at 2. With two leadership team members there, Colleen Cancio and Whitney Faley. We've talked a little bit about this already, Larry, but shall we add something to this effect that we went through this accreditation meeting on Thursday and add it to the World University and School Foundation page?
Sure.
Great. It might come in helpfully for other possible accreditation agencies, for example. And I'm curious further down the agenda about some other possibilities with PIM, Postgraduate Institute for Medicine, in terms of certificates and things like that. So we'll add that to the World University Foundation page. And agenda item 2, World University and School emailed for a third time the Middle States Commission on Higher Education this past Monday, December 12th, 2022, to Diana Bonner and its president, Heather Perfetti. And we haven't heard back to this email. We've heard back twice in November. And we're exploring further how to license World University and School, possibly in Pennsylvania, possibly also in New York and in Maryland and in Delaware and in New Jersey, and the other states and District of Columbia that Middle States credits. So we need licensing apparently to begin the accreditation process, the pre-application process with Middle States. One of the questions I'm wondering about is having to do, if we could license in Pennsylvania, whether we would be licensing through, and whether Middle States Commission on Higher Education even could be working through legal questions with regard to World University and School licensing as an independent university, a little bit with parallels to the state of California's Bureau for Private Post-Secondary Education licensing process. So WUaS would not be a possible public university, and in seeking to create free to students Creative Commons 4 licensed ocw.mit.edu centric World University and School degrees. How, do you think that might be a question in terms of our communication further?
I don't know what the difference is. I mean, I don't see how they can possibly establish a difference based on whether the state gives you any money or not. Because in principle, the state gives everybody money one way or another.
It gives money to private universities and high schools.
Right.
Interesting. I know that public-private university distinction is significant for the University of California's, the 10 campuses, including UC Berkeley, and the University of Michigan, maybe at the federal level. But
I think it may be a historically important distinction that no longer is quite as relevant. Because laws sort of changed in the last 100 years about what they can and can't do.
Well, they haven't, when to our questions of how we can proceed with licensing and possibly be with the state of Pennsylvania's educational government website and similar, they haven't responded back. And there aren't any workshops, for example, that we could go through to begin the licensing process in Pennsylvania, which
Google searches in the internet didn't produce anything.
Right. And part of the question here, we're operating under an unusual model of building out of the Creative Commons 4 licensed ocw.mit.edu MIT OpenCourseware centric resources, which CC4 licensing says that one, any university can freely share MIT OpenCourseware. Two, any university or anyone can freely adapt it, so add it to artificial intelligence or use MIT OpenCourseware in one way or another under their licensing terms. But three, non-commercially. So World University and School is potentially seeking reimbursement from departments of education in all 50 US states, in all 200 countries, as we build out our accrediting degrees based on MIT OpenCourseware and potentially with Middle States Commission on Higher Education. They say it seems like we have to license, or they say we are not licensed. How do we license here further?
Well, you've tried asking that direct question and haven't gotten a response.
Right.
It's my belief that they sort of grew from nothing, try to use language that will apply to everybody. And nobody was using the word license, so they stuck the word license in, without thinking that sooner or later someone would need to know, how do I get licensed? And they haven't responded, so what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, wait, I think is what we can only do with middle states if we need to be licensed with them. The beauty of getting licensed and then accredited potentially with Middle States Commission on Higher Education is that we could seek reimbursement from all 50 US states departments of education. And
nothing to prevent you from doing it without it. It might be easier with it, but it might not be.
We don't have any way to, as I understand it, reach out to the departments of education in Pennsylvania or California with our current non-accredited status. I think with accreditation, we could reach out to the Department of Education in California if we were accrediting with Middle States Commission on Higher Education based in Pennsylvania. So I think we get potential reimbursement for the richer countries, even along the lines of $14,000 to $55,000 per year per student, if we can get this accreditation going with Middle States Commission on Higher Education or similar. What do you think about that?
I think you got to call them, whoever them is, and get some person to hear your question and respond, because they're blowing us off. They don't have a response, so they just ignore us.
Interesting idea. So
I mean, your question is basically, how do I get licensed, period.
Right. And Diana Bonner got back to us twice, seemed positive, and then came back to us a second time and said, we're not licensed, full stop. And so your idea, and then they didn't respond to this
I know.
Monday, 12/12/22 letter.
If that doesn't do it, that's why you have state legislators, legislators. So you could call up one of the Pittsburgh area newly elected people and put that on their agenda.
Interesting.
From our perspective, it's a very simple question.
Yeah.
They won't do anything with us until we're licensed, nor will they tell us what it means to be licensed and how to go about it.
Right.
If that isn't a big catch-22, I don't know what is.
So shall I try to reach out to Heather Perfetti on this upcoming week with a phone call if I can?
I would say try both ways. If you can think of somebody to approach as a newly elected representative and somebody you just randomly cold call, they must have an office. I don't even know if they do.
You mean the state legislator or the
No, I mean,
middle states?
Middle states.
Yeah, they presumably have an office, and why they and shall I try to reach the president, Heather Perfetti, or shall I try to
I would just respond to whoever picks up the phone.
Okay.
State problem. I've been told that we're not licensed, and we don't know what the word licensed is supposed to mean, nor to who we approach to get licensed.
And say we've been in touch with Diana Bonner and Heather Perfetti in all this.
Use their names that way.
Okay. Great. Good thinking. To use the telephone and try to speak directly rather than communicate through email in this one case.
Yeah, because telephone is hard to evade the question. With email, it's real easy.
Yeah. Hopefully. I mean, yeah, good point. I mean, maybe good thinking at Larry. Great, thank you. I may try to call Thursday, Monday. It's in these regards.
Be sure to keep your focus on that one question. I mean, it's too easy to go off on other questions. It's too easy for them to respond to other questions. You simply want to know, what step do I take first? If it's to be licensed, tell me who to go to get licensed.
To begin the pre-application process with Middle States Commission. Okay. I'm wondering whether that will be a state of Pennsylvania agency, but good thinking.
My guess, and this is purely a guess based on what you've been telling me in your responses, is they just use the word license as a catch-all and apply to every state and middle state. And didn't have to worry about what it means in each particular state.
Great. Yeah, I'm surprised that the information on how to license in the state of Pennsylvania, since they have offices in the greater Philadelphia area, isn't available on the web in these regards too. Maybe we could explore licensing in Maryland, for example, or great. I'll seek to call them. That's a good thinking. So agenda item 2A is related to these accreditation questions that we're exploring. Also offering, in addition to bachelor, PhD, law, MD, and IB high school or similar degrees in all 200 countries out of MIT OpenCourseware, newly AA degrees, associate arts degrees, and master degrees that might be attractive for questions of retention. Also, if students had a 2-year online degree process to go through rather than a 4 or a 7-year, for example. What do you think about that?
I think in general, students are just vague on that. They don't really have time goals. They don't really understand the process or what it means.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's worth worrying about.
So good thinking. All right.
Yeah.
So agenda
Many
item.
of the responses have been from that we've had encountered. You read the emails to me, and they basically said, like, I'd like to get a degree, period. How many years? What kind of degree? They have no idea.
I think they, yes, agreed. And I also think that maybe for our matriculated students so far, that the MIT open courseware studied on their own is perhaps too challenging.
Or not so much challenging. That implies they've worked at it. I think the fear of it is too much of a barrier.
Okay. And I think the new World University and School course, the Creative Commons 4 license course, CS First with Google at World University and School, learning the Scratch programming language, and even to matriculate into World University and School was doable by Mwende Evande in Cameroon. So maybe the fear level of is greatly diminished if we can build out further on a WUaS Google emerging platform also.
I think Google doesn't inspire the same fear as the name MIT does. The name MIT is attractive if you got the degree, but it's scary as you're on the outside looking in.
Great. Yeah, I mean, also, I think World University and School is seeking to do something new with education that would really even facilitate scientists and our faculty, possibly thousands of STEM faculty members at World University and School, to do science in a new way, differently than at MIT, and maybe in a realistic virtual Earth for STEM as field sites and laboratories. So hopefully that would make the whole process not as awe-inspiring as the word MIT, or who knows. So agenda item 3, no word back from the California Franchise Tax Board's, the state of California's FTB, regarding linking our exempt legal entity in California, also called World University and School, like our exempt US 501c3 legal entity called World University and School, with this exempting California WUaS Wells Fargo bank account X389 in the WUS myFTB account generation process. And we've already linked the WUS Corporation with its bank account X9028 at Wells Fargo in the WUS myFTB account generation process with the 501c3 World University and School. Any thoughts about how to hear back from them further?
No, my thought is let's ignore them.
Okay.
People who want that kind of information are ones you're trying to pay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm expert in doing this for employees for both WCM and the church. But anyway, when I tried this the very first time, they want all kinds of account information. Fine, if that's what you mean by link. But there's not really any permanent person who does this. It's just a matter of they want to know what account numbers to use, and the first time if it goes through, then they assume it'll go through the rest of the time. I don't think there's anyone at the franchise tax board that's going to make these decisions. Not until you've got a pending tax payment, and we don't have one.
On top of that, for this exempt entity, World University and School in California, they've already cashed a check for $65 in July from this X5C89 bank account.
Yeah, well, that you can cash a check, no problem. What you would need this information for is to electronic fund transfer, an EFT, to try to pay by email.
Right. I wonder also, and I've mentioned these in recent previous business meetings, whether the California Franchise Tax Board, I'll say, is getting their act together with regard to Stanford MinePi cryptocurrency, and also getting their act together with regard to the Silicon Valley Long-Term Stock Exchange, and how World University and School, adding our exempting California World University and School bank account and entity to this MyFTB account generation process, will articulate with these other two things, if we can even list, if the WS Corporation can list the Stanford MinePi on the Silicon Valley Long-Term Stock Exchange. It all gets very complex.
Yes, that's why my suggestion is there's no need for it at the moment, and they're not responding. Just ignore it.
All right. Yeah.
And get to the point where we want to do something with it, we'll reinvestigate it.
All right. So those agenda item 3 has had much to do with state of California agencies and processes regarding the CIFTB and World University and Schools bank account there for the exempt. Agenda item 4 is sort of federally related. So the US, I flew out to California in a whirlwind trip at the end of September, and moved everything back from storage, even on an asylum journey to Western Pennsylvania. And when I was out there, I submitted one United States Postal Service forwarding card. And they sent, the US Postal Service, a federal agency, sent 4 verification numbers, 4 separate paper letters to you, your address in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And each one of those had were slightly different in terms of their forwarding suggestions, their forwarding directions. And also, we've received at least 2 pieces of forwarded mail from the Canyon PO Box 442 in the San Francisco Bay Area, Canyon 94516, to your physical address on paper as a consequence of this forwarding order. So recently, I updated a single one of these USPS verification codes with my physical address in Pittsburgh. And thinking that, I don't know why the Postal Service gave us 4 verification codes with possibly.
Okay, now let me ask, are you sure they actually sent 4, or they just talked about sending 4?
No, you gave me 4 pieces of mail that night I came over for the wine tasting from the US Postal Service.
Because I can't see how we didn't get 4.
Well, I mean, I got 4 pieces of mail from you, paper mail, separate ones with separate verification codes.
Oh, all right, okay, I didn't realize that. I thought it was just the one that I got.
And I've changed one of those addresses. We haven't received any updated information. You know, in that I was on an asylum journey, and in that there could be even a kind of cleanup going on with regard to making the country safer somehow, even with regard to the United States Postal Service. I wonder whether these 4 different verification codes with possibly 4 addresses, forwarding addresses, could be a safety coding aspect of the United States Postal Service.
I don't know. That's speculation. There's no point to it.
Well, one of the questions I'm wondering about further is trying to change yet another verification code. So currently one reads forward mail to my physical address as the president of World University and School here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, from Canyon 94516. 3 read now, I think, forward mail to your address for possibly accreditation too in Pennsylvania. If I were to change one more to my mother's address in Western Pennsylvania, that might distribute the questions of security even more in these regards as well.
Might make it if more difficult, because whoever read your mother's complex, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah,
has to sort the mail to get it to her. It doesn't come in from the post office and get sorted. It gets sorted by the people at Longwood.
actually,
So
I think as I recall seeing the mailboxes, it looks like there's a direct United States Postal Service truck to individual residents' mailbox, individual mailboxes for residents there, which is different from.
Worried about it would confuse things more than it would help. I don't see any reason to do it. 2 is enough. 3 is too many.
It would also make it, my address has sort of public mailboxes for that the U.S. Postal Service puts it into. It would also, in a parallel way, maybe make things safer. It's already confusing that we got 4 verification codes, 4 paper mails, and I was on an asylum journey on top of this. So I'll give that some more thought, possibly, and hopefully we'll get a United States Postal Service verification code. Maybe I will look into changing it to my mother's for security reasons, for keeping World University School moving forward in some of these regards. So stay tuned. Who knows how, who's at the other end? How many U.S. Postal Service employees are at the other end of this forwarding process, and where they are? Agenda item 5 in the remaining 35 minutes. This is a very speculative question with regard to aging reversal and longevity genetics questions. And will we live possibly even another 22,000 years with molecular engineering and longevity genetics? And it's a question I've broached with my Reed College friend and special envoy to Yemen in the U.S. State Department, Tim Lenderking, in a recent blog post. And regarding George Church's recent video and some of the things he's explored in related videos, the Harvard and MIT professor of genetics and the Harvard Medical School. So to what degree could we further facilitate this with even a physical digital approach to electronic medical records, and even avatar bot electronic medical records for editing genetics, and whether we could do it with Google Street View with Time Slider and Google Maps, Google Earth for our avatar bot electronic medical records, TensorFlow AI, and whether we could also do it in collaboration with the U.S. State Department, 12,000 employees somehow. If, for example, they were working with Google. When I went on a hike with my friend Tim Lenderking this past Friday, 8 days ago, he said a Google representative had been into the U.S. State Department, the Truman Building, the day before, Thursday. I think it was Thursday, December 8th. And Tim had talked with him. So any thoughts on longevity genetics and living decades beyond 122 years of age or thousands of years?
No, it's just something so far from my areas of expertise that I listen to you and then ignore it.
Yeah, I listened to George Church and find it, wonder how Peter Norvig, head of Google AI, could help with some of these questions on the digital side, how we could help with it as well. Agenda item 6 has to do with World University and School innovating with learning robotics, with our students learning robotics, and even combining the Lego robotics kits that World University School is an official carrier of, 3 kits, with possibly Toyota and the Toyota THR3, Toyota Humanoid Robot 3. And there's an amazing image of a Toyota THR3 robot playing with big Lego blocks. And could we do this also in a virtual Earth for robotics? And could even our matriculating PhD students write their PhDs on this from their homes as they help develop the THR3 robotics and Lego robotics further?
I thought you were going to go and make the comment about incorporating into the robot an AI-based computer, if you want to put it that way, so that it was responding to your questions and comments, not just to your orders.
Interesting. Great. Yeah, I mean, as an aside, but a related aside, the new Miko 3 robot, MIKO 3, that it's available this autumn for basically 5 to 10-year-olds, for basically 5-year-olds, is a little bit like Siri or Alexa or Google Voice Assistant.
Right.
So it's conversational. You can ask it, what's the longest river in the world? And it also apparently learns. So there's no orders that you give to Miko 3. You come into conversation with it. And that apparently is very engaging for young learners. It's one of the most engaging educational robots to date, I guess.
Yeah, I think this is the one I was reading about this morning in New York Times.
Huh.
I just don't remember the name, but there was one I was talking about. This guy had been a guinea pig for the last week or 3, and it was reporting rather favorable comments about it.
Great. Well, I'm wondering also, again, just how some of this modeling for Lego robotics and for THR3s, the Toyota Humanoid Robot 3s, and Miko 3 could all dovetail in simulations in a realistic virtual Earth for robotics. So Google Street View with Time Slider, Maps, Earth, TensorFlow. And I'm hoping it would be way beyond what I've heard MIT uses called the grid for robotics. And that would facilitate all kinds of innovations, at least for maybe these 3 organizations, Toyota and Lego Robotics, Lego Education, and maybe the organization that makes Miko 3, and the 4th organization being World University School and our students, as we accredit. So in a related vein, with regard to Toyota and their upcoming van in the USA, the Toyota ProAce Electric, potentially autonomous vehicle in 3 sizes, to what degree could it become a single workhorse vehicle? So it wouldn't be a van that's stored in the driveway for 50 weeks of the year. And it could also serve as the function of being a virtual campus with multimedia, and possibly, secondly, a house for faculty or students, and possibly, thirdly, an office, all in one. This emerges out of recent Toyota maintenance process I went through for a Prius 2016.
Yeah.
And the idea of what I'm calling a small, tall Toyota ProAce electric van, so that you could fit a shower module into it for it being a house, a virtual campus, and as an autonomous vehicle, and as an office. Maybe we can find some housing in Pittsburgh for our eventual employees and our faculty and our staff and our students. But perhaps this could be part of that approach. So in the remaining 25 minutes, we have, I guess, just 12 agenda items on the nonprofit side here for today, and 3 on the for-profit side. So much shorter than the 36 from last month.
That's fine, yeah.
On the nonprofit side, and the 8 on the for-profit side or something. Agenda item 7 has to do with happy birthday, Peter Norvig at World University in School, with his inspiring Lego Robotics Institute for Lego Investigation, I'm calling it. It's actually, LI2 is actually Lego Institute for Lego Investigation. I want to include the robotics aspect because I think that would be a fascinating new focus for Peter's Institute for Lego Investigation. And in what ways could it emerge in a realistic virtual Earth for Lego robotics, but which would be in one realistic virtual Earth and for genetics, and regarding physical digital aging reversal genetics. And the second happy birthday greeting to Peter Norvig, I shared on Twitter in 6 different Twitter feeds, is what aging reversal and longevity genetic drug therapies does Peter Norvig see coming, and for many birthdays ahead? And regarding George Church's recent interview with Rhonda Patrick, another geneticist and molecular biologist from with a UC San Diego molecular chemistry undergraduate degree and a Vanderbilt PhD. Hopefully the digital and virtual aspects of some of these questions will add remarkably to these new developments with genetics and robotics, and also the speed of their development. Agenda item 8, coming back to accreditation for World University in School with PIM, Postgraduate Institute of Medicine. I sent them an email follow-up, and that email follow-up, I think, could open avenues to possibly building out our medical courses for licensed physicians, pharmacists, and nurses, for example, maybe dentists too, maybe in collaboration with Stanford Medicine. So this is both agenda 8 and agenda, I think, item 12 or something, 10, agenda item 10. Any thoughts about further working with Postgraduate Institute of Medicine, since we've already become accredited by them in for World University in School of Medicine? So, Larry?
I don't know what to say. Specifically, ask me a specific question.
Well, I'm going to jump to agenda item 10.
Okay.
Where, which is related, where Sri Lanka World University in School, southeast of India, shared something, a useful suggestion, just as I was sending out the agenda news yesterday in the minutes. So just to keep you updated, that PIM has got a platform called CME University, which I think is has to do with credits for medical education. And if accrediting our own course is not possible right now, if we can't accredit a 5-year medical degree, could we check on the possibility of collecting credits from existing courses on the CME platform to prepare a degree program.
Why do you need to collect them on a platform rather than just collect the information, which is going to affect what we did with the previous students?
Great. I mean, I think this is already existing courseware at PIM.
Well, if they've already evaluated or something like that, I can see some advantages. But if it's just speculation, I don't see any value to it.
Well, apparently, I mean, PIM has been around since the 1970s.
Oh, okay.
And they've been accrediting individual courses since that time. So putting two and two together, I have the impression that there's a lot of courses on the CME platform, the
I see, okay.
Credit for Medical
Maybe
Education.
you could, this month, do a little better job of probing what's there.
Great. Yeah.
See what they can do for us.
Yeah, maybe.
At this point, it doesn't seem like from what you said, it's any different than what we've just been doing. Now, if it became automated and we had 10,000 students to worry about, that would become an advantage to them.
Great. I think after our half-hour talk with PIM, Postgraduate Institute for Medicine, on Thursday with Colleen Cancio and with Whitney Faley, where I learned some related information, that Whitney Faley may be partly focusing the CME platform from related to PIM, the Credit for Medical Education, I'm calling it. That might not be the acronym, accurate acronym. But they also suggested at the close of our meeting, getting in touch with them further via email. So I'm wondering whether I can minute this aspect of Sri Lanka World University and Schools reaching out. Sri Lanka World University and School also sent a certificate, which I think has a lot of appeal for many learners. So there was an image of a certificate that he made up in my name that comes from the CME website, and it has to do, it's attendance certificate of continuing medical education for the postgraduate, and it says the Postgraduate Institute for Medicine certifies that Scott McLeod has participated in the live activity called Online Short Course Organic Academias. So fascinating that we could possibly even get certificates in communication with PIM and CME that would emerge out of possibly linking up a series of medical courses that they've been offering and have even since the 1970s accredited. I'll look into it further. What do you think?
Yeah, that's appropriate procedure at this point.
Okay. Moving back up to agenda item 9, World University and School continues to seek a new chair of the board and a new CFO and active board members, and potentially for both wings of WUaS. The nonprofit.
Let us out.
What's that?
I said, let us out.
Yeah, I mean, it's been since 2006 or 7 or something, and to build a team beyond you and I would be amazing. And for both wings, could we do that possibly even somehow in conjunction with the U.S. State Department and somehow with Stanford too? Who knows? A team, an active team, maybe employed team. So moving back again, go ahead.
I said you got real quiet there all of a sudden, now you're back.
Okay, moving back, returning to agenda item 10 about possible courses from CME with certificates from related to PIM at World University and School of Medicine. I shared with the World University and School monthly business meeting, all approximately 1,500 of us, in email, some related virtual world and realistic virtual earth for surgery ideas and tweets, and potentially in collaboration with Stanford and Google Street View. Agenda item 11, the 2 WUaS financial reports from last month remain unchanged. Inviting readers of the agenda news to look at those from their email from last month.
Yep.
Agenda item 12.
Wait a second, there's one question. Last year we had some problem when somebody tried to give some money at the end of the year, and our, whatever it was, I don't say email, but that wasn't it, but PayPal.
Yeah.
The PayPal account didn't work. Have you checked that recently?
I thought I transferred that in January from the PayPal account.
I want to be sure that it's going to go, because now the next month is when people will be doing that again.
Great. Yeah, I would, good thinking. I will look into our World University and School PayPal account, see how much is there. Just get into it to make sure that it's operating as it's been for the past few years.
My experience is just looking at price to it. Could be nothing, but anyway, they don't tell you that there's money in it, nor do they do anything about automatically giving it to you. They just put it in an account number and let it accumulate.
I do get emails when a new deposit has been made into that World University and School PayPal account. However, I did apply for some sort of PayPal settlement. Maybe it was 2021. And then that sort of disappeared. I don't know what happened with those legal processes. It was sort of a group settlement. Maybe that's in there. I won't.
It's a good time to find out.
Yeah. So agenda item 12, regarding the WUaS Scottish Small Piping Wiki School, wiki.worlduniversityandschool.org/wiki/Scottish Small Pipes and Border Pipes. Glad that I'll say World University and School too, and the WS Press is releasing this second Scottish Small Piping album. Just today, before monthly business meeting, I uploaded 5 pieces, 5 tunes of Pibroch classical bagpiping music to the Bandcamp webpage. And so it's already live and active and available. And that's, I suppose, another publishing success for World University, the WS Press, if you want to call it that. That we, the WS Press has now published 5 books and 2 Scottish small piping albums.
Okay, good.
Those are good things. None of the books have been translated into other languages. Moving on to the other wing of World University and School, the WS Corporation, WS Press, with about 10 minutes to go. Agenda item A, the WS Corporation regarding Stanford MindPi cryptocurrency, and potentially listing on the WS Corporation on the new Silicon Valley Long-Term Stock Exchange, and coding for 7.9 billion people, each a Wikidata PIN number, and to end poverty, is what this agenda item is about. And World University and School, WS Corporation, WS was invited to an asana company online talk. Asana is the yoga word for pose or position. And it's one of 2 companies listed on the Silicon Valley Long-Term Stock Exchange now, as I understand it. And the talk was titled The Leader's Guide to Uniting Teams and Navigating Change by Jonathan McDonald. And World University and School registered for this talk. And then the talk was canceled.
All right.
And I include in this agenda item a Fortune magazine online article about these two companies, Twilio and being the other company, as well as Asana is listed on the Silicon Valley Long-Term Stock Exchange. And I see this as a possible entree in for the WUaS Corporation listing on the Silicon Valley Long-Term Stock Exchange. So WUaS will seek to join further such meetings in the WUaS Corporation exploring listing on this stock exchange, and possibly in partnering with Stanford MindPi cryptocurrency, and with WUaS planning to code for all 7.9 billion people on the planet, each a Wikidata PIN number, and potentially to end poverty by distributing a single main cryptocurrency via universal basic income experiments or similar to most people on the planet. The reason why I think this is Stanford MindPi cryptocurrency has many advantages over all other cryptocurrencies is because it was coded for by Stanford PhDs. And I think for privacy, security, scaling, identity, information, technological and technical issues, backup reserves questions, and in a way where World University and School, WUaS Corporation, planning to code for 7.9 billion people, maybe to make this the central bank's currency of many of these 200 countries, gives us a remarkable opportunity for partnering. What do you think about all that?
I think it's a little premature for us still, but especially with what's going on in the crypto business at the moment. So
okay,
I think we should wait a few months or a year until it settles down a little bit.
Great. Join the next Asana meeting that emerges if it's possible.
Right.
Okay. And agenda item A1 is just letting people on our 1,500 people, 1,800 people emailing list have further access to the Stanford MindPi free cryptocurrency with an invitation code SGKMAC, so they can download the app and start doing the good work of mining every 24 hours, pressing two buttons, less than 5 seconds. But as a related issue, I got an email into my Hotmail account saying from someone at Slate, which is Microsoft, that Congress doesn't see mining as a feasible way forward. So who knows how Stanford MindPi would be planning for those questions.
I know. The big problem seems who's paying for the cost for all the electricity. The argument is, if the computer's on anyway and not doing anything, that argument begins to die at some point when too many people are doing it. So.
Great. Maybe central banks will pay for the electricity in most of all 200 countries. So agenda item 3B, in the last 6 minutes, while the WUaS educational services, bookstores, computer stores, robotics stores, both physical and digital planned, are official carriers of Lego robotics kits, of 3 Lego robotics kits. WUaS Corp isn't sure how to communicate further with Lego Education's robotics for beginning to carry these for our matriculating students and robotics-oriented universitians, since most of the Lego Education personnel that we've been in touch with regarding being an official carrier have moved on.
Yeah, that's always the problem.
how best to communicate with Lego education and regarding WUaS Lego robotics. And I wonder about Peter Norvig as a Stanford Educational Fellow and head of Google AI with his Lego Institute too, in these regards. I mean, that we're an official carrier was out of the blue. It came from, who did it come from? Stanford or Lego Robotics or Peter Norvig? Any thoughts on how we can get in touch, or should we just wait to see if...
Well, you can pretend that you have an order now and want to actually, having moved to Pennsylvania, we're trying to reestablish various parts from moving out from California to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
We'd like to order a kit, and haven't done that in a year or more. Not saying how much more, but haven't done that in a while. And what's the procedure? And you can say that all the people we've been in contact and list their names are no longer with you. So what do we do?
Interesting, great. I actually was thinking about giving this as a Christmas present, maybe to my brother, a new kit, the Spike Prime robotics kit, since he's a sculptor, and adding robotics to sculptor in terms of modeling, sculpting to modeling with modeling could be interesting.
Well, given that Christmas is less than 2 weeks away, you better get on the ball.
Well, I went into, I tried to get into Lego education, Lego robotics website from Lego itself, and it didn't remember my password or login or email from some years, a year ago or something. But it looks like Walmart, which we may seek to emulate, as you'll see in agenda item C, does not carry Lego robotics kits, but Nozama does carry that. Nozama in reverse. So I may order from them, but we're glad to be the official carrier. And it will help us grow to maybe hiring 2.3 million people if we can make these available in our educational services stores. Thoughts about that?
No, I think we're thinking along the same lines then.
Okay.
I think the way you get any action out of them, say you've got an order, now what do you want to do with it?
So last agenda item C in the remaining 3 minutes. No one else has sought to join this monthly business meeting. Who knows how many other people have been reading the agenda news and the minutes out of the possible 1,800 people on our emailing lists. So could we, brainstorming wise, explore a first WUaS educational services store in the permanently closed Walmart in Pittsburgh, PA's Waterworks near Fox Chapel, a prosperous suburb? And a first WUaS education, which we've eaten dinner in the Aladdins twice by that closed Walmart. A first WUaS educational services store, which wouldn't be the flagship. Flagship could be in Boston or something, maybe, or downtown Pittsburgh. In the permanently closed Walmart space in the Fox Chapel Waterworks Mall, for physical digital books and computers and robots and hospital technologies, it would be...
I don't think that's too much space. That's a huge store.
Interesting. Yeah, it is a huge store. There are a couple of aspects to this. One, my mother, I guess, knows someone at Longwood who may be ahead of TJ Maxx and Marshalls, both in that store with their significant retailing experience.
Well, they're not in that store.
Not in that store, but they're similarly big stores in that mall.
And they're closed. Yeah. That mall's having troubles. I don't know why. I'm not close enough to it. But lots of the stores that were in there are shrunk.
Interesting.
What's the one, the Indian-based furniture place?
Haven't noticed it.
It's cross country, so it's not new. But anyway, it used to be. Anyway, there's a number of stores. Huh?
Pier 3 or something?
Yeah, Pier not 3.
Pier something. Pier 1.
whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm wondering.
Between us, we got there.
Well, I'm wondering if we could even build out of Walmart's product lines in all of their stores, but with a brand new focus, because they have remarkable sales and they bring in remarkable numbers of people, but also have a new educational services focus. And with even brainstorming wise, Walmart's information technologies and even for possibly planning for robots to run these stores and to run that store. So physical, digital, robotic
Be
space.
careful here. Also, it strikes me as what I've read about that store is the owner of that store, which is not Walmart.
Okay.
Walmart doesn't own any of its stores. The owner is trying to find another customer, another client, if you will, to take over and move in.
Interesting.
So it's not like it's permanently closed as space. It's just permanently closed as a Walmart.
Huh. I'll be careful here then. Well, if it were at all possible to explore an innovation, a brainstorming, a new approach to educational services retail in that very physical space, maybe regarding potentially high achieving students also in poor neighborhoods, how to develop 1,000 Toyota ProAce electric autonomous vehicles with 1,000 Toyota humanoid robot drivers, eventually becoming MD professors of surgery at WUaS, to deliver to poor neighborhoods, and for matriculated students on WUS home robotics tracks in engineering majors and in all 50 US states and in all 200 countries. These are just some brainstorming thoughts, but because that permanently closed Walmart is close to the prosperous Fox Chapel area, it seems like it might have both be a way to bring in prosperous students or high achieving students from prosperous neighborhoods for free MIT OpenCourseware centric degrees, and focus an educational services store retail model in a brand new way. Thoughts before you? What do you think?
I think those are good possibilities, but it's so hard to predict because we're not in the right group of people who control those kind of issues.
Right. Well, if we were able to get robots to run that hypothetical space, permanently closed Walmart, World University School is still seeking potentially to hire 2.3 million people over the next 50 years. So we don't want to put people out of work by getting robots in a brainstorming way to run that space.
Okay.
So thoughts or questions or ideas or suggestions before we close?
No, I run out of them.
All right. Thank you, Larry Wieland. Good to be in WS Monthly Business Meeting with you on this Saturday, December 17th, 2022, 12 noon Eastern Time. It's an open monthly business meeting. You who might watch this, I'll put this recording to the youtube.com/Scott McLeod World University and School YouTube site. You're welcome to join us with your questions and answers in potentially helping growing MIT OpenCourseware centric World University and School for major universities in 200 countries and wiki schools in 7,000 languages. Thank you, Larry.
Okay, see you next time.
See you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.